Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat, and welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. It's good to be back with y'all today for Retro Tuesday in Minecraft. Looking forward to this. I'll start by showing you around some things I've done behind the scenes, but then mostly just working on that church we're building. But first, my mother loves me, but I think she loves Twitch chat just as much sometimes, because she sent me a ton of candy. It's not good candy. Well, some of it is actually, but it's a lot of questionable candy. So she sent me, and I already have the sour things I bought, but now she's giving me these. We have Snack Club Tajine Gummy Bears. Tajine is the chili lime spice mix. They come in the flavors of orange, pineapple, apple, and strawberry. And lemon. Why? Was the chili lime flavor not enough? Don't forget the salt and Tajine. Okay, yeah, and the salt. It's seasoning. Sounds incredible. It sounds incredibly something. This one I'm curious about. It's brew candy. So it's like hard candies. There's 3 flavors: hoppy IPA, roasty stout, which I'm kind of, because they're advertising it as coffee-like, and honey ale. So expect all of these to go into rotation. We'll save that one for the end. Bacon candy, which I guess are mints, but are described as meaty bacon candy. These next 3 I'm actually excited about. We have Pulparindo, tamarind-filled hard candy with the flavors of mango, watermelon, and tamarind. Says if being filled with tamarind isn't enough, and extra spicy. I like tamarind candy. I like tamarind candy a lot. And we also got Enchilocas, a soft mango-flavored tamarind candy. It is also pronounced with a soft J, similar to a more harsh H. It's pronounced similar to tahini. But anyway, Tajine Gummy Bears. No, I suppose it would be Tajin because it's Spanish. I'm going to call them Tajine, though. Got cactus candy made with prickly pear. I love cactus. Like, you dice up some cactus, throw it in with just a little bit of vinegar. It makes a wonderful salad side that you can make. It's chewy and crunchy at the same time. It's fantastic. So I'm actually super excited about those. And lastly, the ones I'm really not excited about. Sour pickleball. And what's worse is there's 2 of them. Roxy would love this. See, I like Pixel. I love pickles. I love pickles. But, like, I don't know how I feel about it as a candy. If I remember Bad Roxy, I will bring home one of these for you next month. So, like, I don't like sweet pickles. I like sour pickles. So when it's a candy, I'm not sure. Also, the packaging is right. Say no to drugs, kid. I don't know why that they feel compelled to say that, but, you know. Ingredients. Cucumber. And cucumber is just straight up the first ingredient. Water, vinegar, salt, alum, calcium chloride, sodium benzoate. Wait. Wow, this has like no sugar in it. It has 12 grams of added sugar, which for a candy, that's like nothing. So anyway, so after Easter, sour pickleballs, worst experience after millennials start playing. Ouch. Yeah, it's just a pickle, but it's like, what's weird is the ingredients don't list sugar, but there's sugar added. I'm so concerned. So anyway, we have this to look forward to after Easter. But for now, we're gonna dive into Minecraft. Oh, I fixed Meep Morp, it looks like. Interesting that that it only counts down on its time when it's active on screen. That or he's just stuck there now. But I think I fixed it. I think there was a weird time delay. I was just getting confused. I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, so first thing you see is my AFK fish farm. So I can fish while I'm not playing. Because that's actually how you get... It's a good way to take care of yourself food-wise, but then you can also get better gear, and it's a good way to get certain magical books for your gear. So I have that set up. So I need to leave it running. I dug deeper. I was doing some reading. Turns out what I thought where diamonds were is no longer where diamonds are. So I dug to where diamonds are, and now I have like 40 of them. So that's good. You get books for fish? Yes. Yes, you do. You get magic books out of fish. I made a cow farm because we're going to need lots of leather for lots of books for the enchanting table. I started with 2 cows. We now have more than 2 cows. So I want to work on the church today. Is that like Jesus getting coins out of a fish for taxes? Sure. Let's make a bunch of that. Grab that. That's what I want to do. Because I think we can do the Baldacchino today. And finish that off. But we also will need a bunch of furnaces, because I think what I want to do is polished sandstone and shoot, what's the word I'm looking for? Birch, like where you take birch, you can remove just the bark of the birch, stripped, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And that makes that's 2 different kind of yellows. I think I kind of like that idea as the walls for the church. No, not Veneer. Veneer was the Dutch painter who did a lot of portraits and always had light coming in from one side. But I was doing some scouting. This is the wrong way to go. If we head out this direction, there's a decent-sized desert slash sandy beach, so we could get some sandstone. But then you have to fire the sandstone to get the smooth. You missed my joke, kid. I was making a Vermeer joke. Let's see. Let's maybe start over here. No, you just ignored it. That's fair. Oh, hello, bee. Do you CDB? Hello? What kind of cave is this? That's weird. It's like the beach kind of flooded into there. Hey, Pentakill. We both yearn for the mines. All the children yearn for the mines. So how you doing today, Pentakill? Do you prefer people shortening it to Pentakill or people shortening it to Clutch? And I'm still thinking on your other joke. I promise I have seen it. Well, since we were talking painters, here's one of my favorites. Why couldn't the Impressionists get to the expo? They had no Monet or Degas to make the Van Gogh. Well, I think... well, Pentakill is referenced in shooters, meaning you got 5 kills in a row. I would tell that one. You're gonna say nice. I guess this is also good because we're gonna need sand to make glass, because we're gonna have stained glass in the for the windows of the church. Clutch comes from the FPS, win an entire team by yourself, and Pentakill is from League of Legends. Clutch may be easier. Fair enough. I like when I pop into people's chats and they don't necessarily know who I am or that I'm a priest yet, and they read my username as Freven. Life has been really tiring lately. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, you pray for patience. The Lord sends you traffic, right? Life has been pretty good. It's been a busy but spiritually productive and fruitful Lent, so very thankful for that and all that's going on in the parish. So can't really complain there. Hey, King Yenzela, good to see you. Yeah, we are doing the Minecraft. Looking for a server friend? Well, this is the server for me and my mods, I'm afraid. But, you know. Would not be opposed to opening that up to the occasional guest. Did I cut my hair? Oh shoot, where did it all go? Yes, yeah, I did cut my hair. All children yearn for the mines. It's true. Oh, there goes our pickaxe. But that gives us a lot of good sandstone to start with. Okay, how do I get back out of here? Oh, you want me in your server? Sure, I'd be happy to join your server. Where'd I put my boat? Truer words have never been spoken. I like that the door to darkness looms and starts to appear, making it easy to find home base. Why does my boat sink when it's in that form? That makes no sense. Whoop. Oh, also, I found bamboo. And so I put it in the AFK farm. So we can start making scaffolding with it. I think Minecraft always knew I was Catholic from day one. I've been building cathedrals for most of my bases. It's fair. Speaking of which, we are going to go to sleep. Whoa! Not like that. I need to make a pickaxe. I also need to make a an axe. My old axe is broken. But then we'll go check out the foundation of the church. And we'll get to work on it. So. Do I have wood with which to make instruments and tools? I can make a tool. I'm gonna make an axe. Because we can get more wood where we're going to make a pickaxe. But yeah, you can see now I have 35 diamonds. I guess I don't need the boat where I'm going. I so need to reorganize storage. It's such a mess. I hear you, zombie. Where are you? Are you down here? No? Well, whatever. You'll evaporate in the sun. Okay, yep, it's right over here. So we're building in this savanna. I want to incorporate acacia leaves in there, or acacia wood in there somehow. But the main thing we did last time is we mapped out, so we have, this is the Confessio underneath the altar. We have most of the altar space done, except for, ignore that hole, just don't look at it. But yeah, we have this circle. This is going to be sort of the main circle around the altar for the rotunda with the dome. And then we'll have little like narthexes each way. They've got to go wider. This was the original lead point. That is too short. And then the main nave is going to be this way. But for today, what I'm thinking is we can do the baldacchino and establish some of the design. You like it? Nice. Okay, we're gonna need a whole bank of, I know these aren't gonna start working yet, don't worry. That's not as many stacks as I thought I had. Well, these need to turn to glass anyway, so... I need more coal is what I need. I don't have a ton of it. What do we need for scaffolding? Oh, we need some string for scaffolding. Okay. So I can't just make that right now, but that'll be fine. Oh, we have some pickaxes here. Sweet. Impressive builds always amaze you. Oh, thank you. You should have seen my previous server. What's going to be your preferred architectural style? So for this one, it's inspired very much kind of like by St. Peter's. But I like to do different styles. So actually in my family server, like I have a small, more Gothic parish level church, but also a Greek cross Byzantine church. So I'll probably put a Byzantine church in here at some point too. You're excited for GothCon? Well, you could also just come to New York to meet me in person. But good to see you, Matt Pack. Okay, so what I was thinking for this is kind of starting out, I guess I'll do that. Yeah, so essentially what I was thinking is, if I can get up there. Yeah. Nope, not like that. Okay, I'm gonna have to just use some of this as scaffolding, even though I really don't want to. Because I kind of wanted something of texture, or I don't think Father Evan has been stabbed yet. Excuse me, what? No, New York's actually pretty safe. Yeah, we've built up a tolerance to stabbing. So yeah, so I'm kind of thinking, okay, I got stuck in the baldachin, or in the Confessio. This is a problem. I don't actually have a way back out. So what I'm thinking is kind of this as the basic design for the pillars. I think I'm going to go back up into a point, and that point is going to then hold itself. I don't think bullets work the same way as iocane powder, map hack, but I could be wrong. Anyway, reversing its direction back up to be like a point like that, and then on top of the point is going to be the arched dome of the baldacchino. I think I could land there. I'm in spectator mode. This would be a lot easier if I had actual scaffolding. Don't mind me just falling in the one hole. Really need to fill that in. You'll always go for more Gothic Manuelan style, heavily inspired by Alta Monastery. I am not familiar with that monastery. I am a fan of many architectural styles. Honestly, Art Deco is my personal favorite architectural style. I haven't seen it done in a church well. Although I have seen some Art Deco vestments and like chalices. Like actually the one we used in our house mass is nice. But like, you know, I appreciate the architectural value and style of many modern movements as well as in religious art as well. Yeah, you can build with bone blocks. Ossuaries are interesting. I really need some scaffolding to finish this, but I guess we'll just use this. The old-fashioned styling. Then probably like that. Sounds more like osteoporosis meds. You're about 30 minutes from an ossuary. Yeah, well, that would freak me out as a kid too. Yeah. Well, thank you for the lurk, Yenza. Good to see you. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then it'll have like a dome archway on each side. I'm just gonna do spectator mode to get over that. There are ways around, but... Oh, thank you. Thank you. 4 years since my last haircut. Let's see, where are we at on this one? Okay. Yep. And then on top of the baldacchino, we'll have a nice cross. You can scarcely go 3 months without a haircut. I mean, my hair is... It's not curly, but it is wavy. But, we're just going to place that there for now. We'll replace it later. There's a church in Israel, I think, is locally nicknamed the Rocket Ship. How it's shaped it. Well, I was trying to go for something kind of like the Solomonic columns in at the Baldacchino of St. Peter's, where they kind of ebb in and out and have that curve. But you can't quite do that in Minecraft on the scale I'm building at. So... But I see what you mean, yeah. I think it works better. Like, this is definitely rocket ship shape, but when it's more spread out like that, I think the difference helps. And also, Clutch, that is a unique question I'm not entirely sure how to answer. I guess if we're gonna say it's part of me, yes. Oh, you mean in Minecraft? Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I thought you were talking. And yes, my skin in Minecraft is a priest. For a hot second. Yeah, I know. It's like, well, this is the internet. Yours is a Templar. There you go. The joys of customization. There we go. I'm going to keep falling in that hole for a while, I think. I need to do something about it. Maybe I should remove this set of steps. And I'll put in a barrier of some sort right here. Or I can just do this and I'll be like, oh, I need to stop. So how wide is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't think it's even though, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right. It's slightly wider than it is deep, which is fine. Clipping through the ground is kind of trippy. Whoop. It helps you see all the underground tunnels. It's also a good way just to get different views. But I think that's a good height. Like, it doesn't feel too tall, it doesn't feel too short. These pillars have weight, but they're not domineering. Okay, I'm going to drop off some building materials. That's so weird. I'm guessing you haven't played a ton of Minecraft map. Because you're right, it is weird, but I've also played a ton of Minecraft throughout the years, and it's like, you know, whatever. That's just how you do it. It's been 15 years since you last touched Minecraft. It's a very different Minecraft. So I want to work with these stripped birch logs. I think they'll add so the base will be the sandstone, but then there will be secondary with the birch logs to help break things up. Should you give it another shot? Yes. I am always in favor of more Minecraft. Okay, that one's disconnected, so it'll disintegrate. Started playing in early 2012, never stopped. Yeah, oh man, I remember buying it back in the day. And, like, my bank called me up and was like, did you purchase something from Sweden? Yes, actually I did. because no one had heard of Mo Yang. I'm gonna bring these bees back to my base. I need Silk Touch. Rotida. So my heart goes out to the guy in the gospel today because he just got healed after like 38 years of being crippled, and then like he's being questioned and interrogated. He's just like, I don't know what's going on. But as the Gospel of John does, so many of the vignettes are in many ways a parable for the life of a disciple. And this guy moves from first being trapped by sin, metaphorically in his crippling, and then encountering healing in Christ, but not knowing who Christ is, moving into prayer and relationship with God, into a deeper relationship and knowing who Christ is. And so it is with us. So we can take the opportunity to be thankful and reflect upon the things where we did encounter God's grace, that ultimately brought us to an awareness of God's presence, and can look to the future and present and say, okay, how can I continue to grow in a relationship with Christ? How can I grow deeper? So that's what I preached on. And I had 2 masses today. I had mass with the sisters and mass for the parish, which was fun. I like both. Oh yeah, well, I mean, Minecraft's start was as a Java-based game in a browser. Your favorite Matthew? Matthew's a good one. I like John though. I don't know, it's tough. Some days I'm a Luke person, some days I'm a John person. But I remember my roommate showing me Minecraft back when it was server-based only, and it was just like colored blocks, like no textures, no nothing, and showing me like people had made the Millennium Falcon that you could even walk through. How many sisters are there? We have 5 sisters who live with us. They are members of Oblates of Jesus the Priest, whose mission it is to take care of priests and seminarians and pray for their vocations. So one thing they'll do is they'll live at places with lots of priests, like the rectory where I am, where there's about 25 of us, and they'll help in some way. So in this case, they cook meals. They cook amazing meals, especially when they do Mexican food, because they're all from Mexico City. And in turn, we house them. We celebrate Mass for them every day. We do a monthly retreat for them. They're great. They're such wonderful holy women. It's just like such a blessing to have them in our life. Ooh, Parable of the Prodigal Son. What a classic. That was the reading last Thursday, I think. How many churches are there in New York City? Oh gosh. So the are we talking like in the city itself or in the archdiocese? Anyway, I'm gonna drop a bunch of this off. I'll take that. We're gonna go get some string so we can build some proper scaffolding. We'll limit it to the city itself. Okay, that gets more complicated because that's 2 different dioceses now. Because Brooklyn and Queens are the Diocese of Brooklyn. In the city itself, gosh, I mean, given the fact that that Queens and Brooklyn are their own diocese, there's gotta be a couple hundred. I mean, in Manhattan alone, just the borough of Manhattan, the island of Manhattan, there's easily at least 200 Catholic churches. Now, whether or not they're an active parish is another thing, but some of them were built to be shrines, so they never, there's the Shrine of Elizabeth Ann Seton down at the Battery. That was never meant to be a parish. I was about to get so lost. I saw that jungle and it's like, I know the base is near jungle, but not at jungle. Actually, probably wouldn't be a bad time to feed the cows, too. Because like I said, we're going to need a lot of cows because we need a lot of leather. I love how when you have wheat, all the cows are just like, hello? Yes? I would like? Yes? There we go. We should have about 10 new babies in there. May not be able to see them, but they're in there. The cow yearns for the wheat. And the chickens yearn for seed. To be perfectly honest, no. I find the way Catholic Answers behaves and does answer some questions, does answer some questions well, but I find by and large it to be more, I don't know, the ethos of it just rubs me the wrong way, I guess. Do you have to brand the babies? No, they all live in the pen. I mean, Mapac, if you ever want to read other good theology, I can't recommend highly enough anything written by the Church Fathers. Chrysostom's a great place to start. Or Cyril of Jerusalem's homilies for Easter. 10 out of 10. What am I looking for? I'm looking for string. Okay, we've got 11 string. Okay, now we have string. We can make scaffolding, which will make this a lot easier, because scaffolding goes up and down really quickly. And you can climb it. No, I can't be too hard on them either, because ultimately, God's grace will work with. That's a key thing. God's grace works with whatever we give Him, no matter how imperfect it is, and so grace can be found somewhere. But it's not a resource I'm going to strongly be recommending to others. Can you do beehives in Minecraft? Yes, you can actually build artificial beehives, or you can collect the ones they have. So like this bee belongs to the hive over here. You can see they've actually collected honey, so I could collect that, but if I do, it could make them angry. That's a fair read. Do you get the product? Yes, I can gather the honey and the wax. Yes, you can make candles. Bees are kind of magic. That's sus. Bees are sus. Church candles and mead, yes. Can you make mead? I don't remember. But you can make honey blocks and they do things. But yeah, now we have this. So see, we can just shimmy and shake our way up. No mead. That's what I thought. Because it's... No wine, no adult beverages in Minecraft. It is made to be family friendly. But, you know, I mean, the Exultet does praise mother bees. Which I love. I unironically love that line about praising the bees. Your family is friendly and we make wine. There are potions. They're purple, so I think that's as close as we're getting. I do love the Easter Vigil, and it sounds like I don't have to do anything at it, which is kind of amazing. It sounds like the pastor's going to preside and preach, so I just have to come celebrate. And actually, I do have one thing to do, because we have 16 people being baptized, plus about another 16 being confirmed, so I'm going to help with those. So I'll have like 4 of the baptisms, and then when the confirmations happen, the 3 priests were going to split up and kind of go around confirming all 30 some odd people. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, so we have to figure out what kind of an archway we want to make for this. Oh, the sun is good setting. I thought that sun was rising. Yeah, our poor RCAA director, though. Oh, sorry, OCIA. I have to take my stand. After raising a ruckus in P. Tony's chat, I have to do it right. Yeah, we have 8 confirmations in your small parish early July. That's great. That's fantastic. Raises our ruckus at you. Yes. I think I actually want more of this. Hectic just got in. We are doing the Minecraft. So we're working on the church again. Good to see you, Step Zero. So right now we're working on the baldacchino. So we built the towers to uphold it. Now we need to do the arches. So I'm not quite sure. So I don't want to just do straight up. Maybe we should do one. I need to think about this. I'm going to jump into creative mode to do this. For this first one, just to like work out some of the blocking quickly, because that way I can zoom in and out. That could work. We've turned Rotata into a past tense. Then we could do it like that on that side. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Oh. Went too high there. So that needs to be like that. So that can be like that. Don't think that's gonna work, so I'm just gonna fall. Ow. I should have grabbed more of this to put there. Oh well. A question occurred to me earlier. Selling indulgences isn't a thing anymore, but indulgences still exist. Who decides what counts as an indulgence? There's like a whole office in the Vatican who takes care of that. There's actually a book called the Book of Indulgences. Or Manual of Indulgences is its official title. It's very difficult for anything new to be declared an indulgence, but there are sort of templates of like pilgrimages and certain kinds of prayer and prayer gatherings, etc. As opposed to a digital of indulgences. Exactly. Was going to ask your mother-in-law to be your sponsor, but unfortunately she's only married through civil. Okay. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. And then we're going to close it up. Okay. We had some type of indulgence if you went to door of every church in the diocese. That seems new. Well, that's... It may seem new, but that's actually I can't place anything? Oh. So I was in adventure mode. Okay. But that's actually well documented in older practice, so... Yep, Jubilee Indulgence. Get ready for that next year, because next year's the actual official Jubilee. Because there could be extra Jubilees called, but there are traditionally Jubilees every 25 years. So... Yeah, that's a thing in many places during a holy years. It's like and I mean, think back to the medieval era where it's like no one was gonna really be able to get to St. Peter's, so each diocese would have its door be a substitute. I think I walked through the DC Holy Door at the Basilica during the Year of Mercy. I don't remember, though. Let's actually set up this plinth kind of like this. So this plinth is where our cross is going to be. Which is why I made more of this. What diocese would be best for speedrunning through every door? Well, I guess for geographic size, probably something like Rhode Island or like some of the dioceses in New England. Because like Massachusetts has a couple. Yeah, indulgences are an interesting thing. They're sometimes hard to describe. Let's see, is that tall enough? That looks like it's tall enough. We then start to go out that way, just given our scale. So we'll make... Don't want to go out beyond the baldacchino, but... So what was that, 3? Sometimes? I mean, it depends on the person that I'm explaining it to and what their background is. If I explain an indulgence to some of my brothers, it'll be very easy to explain. So... Okay, let's... Should we go up one more? This background music's popping off. Yeah, Ron Galinas does good stuff. I like his style. And it's all, whatchamacallit free. Copyright free. Oh, sorry, I missed that question. Clutch. Indulgences are something you can do. You don't need, like, a priest to sign off on it. There's just, like, a series of... You do the thing, you make a good confession, and you go to Mass. Like, those are the 3 parts of an indulgence. So, you need a priest, obviously, for the confession and Mass, but you don't need to tell them that it's part of an indulgence. What's the cross made of? The cross is currently made of polished basalt, which is the same as the baldacchino, to give it a coherent build. I think maybe 1 taller. No, that block text is fairly accurate. It's rooted out of the idea from like when penances were, okay, for 400 days you're going to do this. And indulgence was a way not to shortcut it, but by doing something, it replaced what you had to. And now that we don't really... As that phased out in the life of the church in the later medieval era, we were still kind of stuck with the indulgences. So we're like, how does this work? And so we've kind of applied it to purgatory, and I do trust in the guidance of the Holy Spirit in that, so I'm not trying to make fun of it. But I will say at the same time, it's like there is a bit of an oddness to say, oh yeah, we do this so someone gets 100 years off of purgatory. Purgatory exists outside and beyond time? Yeah, you can offer an indulgence for the souls in purgatory as well. Yeah, and like what temporal punishment is like a very theologically rooted concept and not one that we really know. Oops, missed a spot there. We're just gonna cheat and do this in creative really quickly. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change this. I don't like this being all black. I want this to be a different color. Like it's too dark. It needs something. I don't mind the cross being the same material. Like that works for me. But I think maybe a different colored, like a lighter, slightly lighter gray wall. And I did like the texture that the wall had by being sort of inset. Let's look at our recipes for walls, see what options we have. I wonder how that cobble deep slate would be the same color, so it wouldn't show up too well. Also, apparently my caps lock is on. Maybe diorite wall would work well. When I did a pilgrimage to Fatima, I didn't have to promise to pay as pious devotion and usual. As pious devotion usually does, so I offered it up. I think the same thing I do when I'm washing the dishes, thanks to Jose Maria Lalt. Yay, it works. That's God's grace active in all parts of the life. So we have calcite. Unfortunately, I can't make bone into a wall. That'd be cool. Actually, we do. We need to replace some of this. Because I like the steps being in the diorite, but I think I like the body being in calcite. And this will give me the diorite to make the walls for up there. As well as fill in the gap that's over there. Although I guess I want this to become this material as well. Calcite. Because then it'll blend all the way up. But I'm probably going to carpet this. That's awesome. Awesome clutch. It's kind of funny that you get to be confirmed before her. Put some light down here just so that nothing spawns, because we're going to turn this into the Confessio later, but we're doing it kind of one stage at a time. We're building this church in a way that's oh, you're not getting baptized until 25. Oh, okay. This child yearns for the sacraments. This child yearns for the tomb of the waters of baptism. Wait. Oh no, it's not polished. You have to have plain. Oh no. Panic. That's okay. We can go get that. And in fact, we need more calcite anyway, so let's go ahead and get some of that as well. So calcite and regular diorite. So I think we have some regular diorite left in storage. Again, I need to clean up storage so it's easier to find that sort of thing. Although it's not hard to find. There we go. Regular diorite. And then if we go this way... we go to our first mine. Yeah, you should log back in, Step Zero. It's here for the mods, although I don't think Gale has Minecraft. Anyway, calcite grows around the outside of a geode, I believe. Yes. Someone not having Minecraft continues to surprise you. Well, you know, it's not for everyone. But it's on everything. Well, so's Skyrim. In the late 2000 before the official release. See? Gale, you escaped the virus. The Minecraft virus. You don't know where my key to the game is and haven't bought it. Wouldn't having a key to the game mean you've bought it? And you don't have to buy it just for the sake of buying it. Yeah, you've replaced it with the Dwarf Fortress. Oh, way back when it was free, that's right. Way back in the beginning. Sorry, Amethyst, I don't really need you today. Okay, that should be enough calcite. 2 full stacks. Oh, and there's still more floating around. You've mostly been dying? Yeah, that's the Dwarf Fortress experience. That and your computer dying. Dying is progress. Fair enough. Dwarf Fortress, where losing is fun. Yeah, I've heard weirder. I've heard about clowns and clown worlds that you dig into. Cotton candy. And I'm just here like diggy diggy hole. I would love some dinner. I don't even know what you're making. I think it may take a while to get to me, though. Yeah, I can see that. Once you know how to make a fortress, you can just do it. And self-imposed challenges can make creative games more fun. That's why I actually prefer playing Minecraft in survival mode than in creative. Even though I'll use creative sometimes, to, especially like test things out and be like, does this work? Does this look good? Just for expediency's sake. But I don't plan to use any creative mode to build this outside of the little bits that we've done just for the sake of we have proof of concept and I'm not gonna finagle my way around to fill in one gap. Making some prosciutto with melon. Oh, prosciutto e melone. Lamb roast. Oh, I love lamb. Sounds fantastic. That sounds like a fascinating project in Dwarf Fortress. Raise a dragon. There we go. Everyone to clutches for dinner. Soup's on. Ding ding. Steps 1 and 2 are catch a male and female dragon. I imagine step 1 is probably make a space for where you can keep a dragon, then you can catch one. Maybe that's step 0's territory. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, I like that a lot more. That gives some variance and some texture. Then, yeah, I like how the whole thing kind of domes up beyond just the archways. Like they echo inward. I like how this is coming along, gang. How does this look from the underside? Oh, that actually looks nice. The cage you use for catching a dragon is perfectly good storage space until it's time to get some eggs. Wow, that's a sentence I just read. I like this. I like how this turned out. There's a certain airiness to it with the way it's being held up on the fence posts. So there's like they're pins. So kind of a lighterness there, an etherealness, and it's floating. Put a gravitas to their base, and to the color provides some good weight as well, with the inlay of the diorite. I like how this is coming along. So I think the next thing is completing the replacement of the diorite with the calcite. Rude. No, I would say novenas are not reserved to the initiated. I mean, it's a form of prayer. Really, the only thing that's, properly speaking, reserved to a fully initiated Catholic is the sacraments. But I mean, part of the OCIA process is absolutely teaching people how to pray. So, I get why you asked that kind of question. It's like, wait, is this like a special prayer you only do once you're Catholic? It's like, well, it's something we do as Catholics, but properly speaking, we do consider catechumens as members of the church in a particular way. Like, to be a catechumen canonically gives you certain rights. That are the same as a Christian. So like a catechumen is allowed to have a Christian burial. The hard thing is managing conflict factors between something being trained and being an enemy of the civilization. Training needs to last long enough for the egg to hatch so the dragon doesn't revert. And what were the dwarves going to do with the dragon once they had it? Also, do you think dragon omelets are good? Complex but easy, like accounting. What do you mean do? Having it is the goal. But you're right, my apologies. Europe? I may not have brought enough calcite after all, but we'll find out. I don't like that spot. Felt I was throwing the altar off balance, so I actually want to replace those just with slabs, so there's only this in the middle. Or, we'll come back to that. We're gonna put a pin in that. Because I could put in the pieces to make that like a table leg on each side. Nah, I don't like that as much. I want this to be a central column Mensa. Excuse me. I'd not ask for your opinion. Hey, Bree, how you doing? Good to see ya. How goes crafting the mines? Plentiful. So we're working on this altar space right now. We just completed the baldacchino over the altar. Now we're working... I want to replace all these blocks. These had been polished dye right now. I want them to be calcite. Just so it's a little bit different. Hashtag Minecraft things. I did not grab enough calcite because we still have all of that to replace this and that, but pretty close. But yeah, so this is what we have so far for our altar space in Baldacchino. Looks kind of like marble. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because marble in Minecraft is what the Mensa of the altar is made of here, where it's this pink stone, which is nice, but I prefer having kind of a white marble. So I like the white marble flooring, but having the stairs be a slightly different color. And then the strong differentiation with the baldacchino. And then there's going to be where this circle is. This is going to be the rotunda around the main altar, which will come up to about here-ish in height, because the baldacchino is designed to mediate the space between where you are, where the presider is, and the height of the altar. So if we make the ring about this height and then put the dome above, it should look pretty good. It's kind of like that center is different from the edges. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Skeleton, why don't you come out here into the sunlight? Yeah, that's what I thought, nerd. Whoop. Okay, well, we know to put some torches out this way. Not make all the same. I misread. I'm not sure I know what you mean. Which center are you talking about? This away. What time is it? Stares directly at sun. You're talking making the whole floor one material. It looks nicer with the edge being different. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Problem is then though, when you're looking at it from the floor, it's going to look the same as the stairs. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, though, and I'm trying to just picture the options. How I might make that work. Make the edges even more dark. Yeah, I don't want to clutter the palette too much. Like, it's already 3-ish blocks for the whole construction, and too many blocks makes it too busy. All right, let's go get a little more calcite. Anything else here at base to grab while we're here? Not that I can think of. Pet and feed the cat. Well, if I feed the cat, you can't really feed the cat. And if I pet the cat, he'll get up and try to follow me. And it was hard enough to try and get him into that spot in the first place that I am now terrified to try and ever get him to move again. Daily fact. Fun fact, cats are cool. Cats are very cool. Sounds like a cat. Exactly. Especially an orange cat. Ooh, I saw a glow squid. Look at that. Glow squid. Check him out. You did not drop your glowing goods. That is unfortunate. Orange cats are feral. In my experience, orange cats are just like, no lights on. Oh, here, let me show you how deep my mine actually goes. So this is the depth of where my mine had been. Now my mine is going all the way down here, and wow, I just barely missed this lava. I got lucky there. Now the mine goes all the way down here. to bedrock. You can see just how long this shaft is to get to it. But I'm getting good diamonds out of it, so... You got a whole zoo at home, just waiting. Heard that Francis Assisi Day. Nice. Okay, I don't have any more fish. It's lots of work. Yeah, it was. But it's worth it because I need the diamonds. Because I would like to go and defeat the Ender Dragon at some point, so that I can go and get an Elytra for myself. Because that makes transportation so much easier. I am of the faction that says Elytra instead of Elytra, because that's how I first heard it from another Minecraft content creator, so I was just like, I guess that's how you say it. And I remember hearing Elytra for the first time from another content creator, and I was like, wow, that just sounds weird. And I'm pretty sure it's based on something in Greek, and both ways are wrong. Step up the steep step. Data or data. Data or data. Sorry, data. I usually say data, but both are acceptable. So I'm thinking, Kit, what I might do to make it visually more different from up here without affecting the view at a distance is carpet. Why do you want me to pronounce unionized? What? Is there more than one way to pronounce unionized? I'm so confused now. Long A because it matches the singular of datum. Hey, Possum Blossoms, good to see ya. We were another Catholic priest. I felt lol. What did you think I was? Father Bill. Oh, also, Blossom, check this out. Come on, there we go. Junie made my meat morp. Yeah, Father Bill. Father Bill's a good guy. Streams dad games. Well, if you want VTuber, Sub-Zero, I can show you my original VTuber rig. And I showed it off on V-Tony's. My very hard to make and recreate VTuber rig. I was actually on the episode of Game of Favorites that I was on with Blossom. I was also on with Churro, which is why I made it. Yes, Meep appears to be working normally now, which is good. I think making it 2 minutes rather than 1 minute, because I think weirdly enough, the thing was like, how many minutes would you like to set it on delay? And so I set it to 1 minute. And 1 minute's got it confused, I think. So... Oh, another cool thing I did discover about where this is we actually have a congregation for this church for when it's finished. We just have to cross the terrifying ravine where monsters live. What is the name? Minecraft Diocese/Parish. Ooh, we haven't actually come up with a name yet for the church I'm building. I mean, probably St. Paul. Just, you know, being a Paulist father and working at St. Paul's. But yeah, see, there's a village. I don't see a villager. So that's ominous. Oh, hey, there's a villager. They'll make me a shovel. I don't think the village needs to be crusaded. They look fairly peaceful. I might abscond with the books, though. Now illagers need to be crusaded. No, 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 just pillagers. It's a lot of melons. Don't steal his books, but I need the books for the magic enchanting I need to do on my gear. I only have one bookshelf right now, and it's faster to take books than it is to make books. I found my own books. They're right there. I'm eminent domaining them. That villager has an ammo at his home. Yes, that's how he becomes a librarian. That is the constant battle between good and evil. It is more difficult to choose to be good. But who said it is evil? If I am the governor of this land, maybe I consider it good. No, actually, I don't. For the record, I think theft is very wrong. Shocker, the priest thinks theft is actually a bad idea. He's actually dealing with administrative action of unilateral offerings. Your books? Our books, comrade. No, we've got the leather farm going pretty well, so I think one more generation and then we can call. Clutch Goodman. That should be a decent amount of coal for now. We can at least get us started on making the smooth sandstone for the walls. We're going to need a lot more, but I really need to find a good desert to strip mine. You need to be good at clutch. Yeah, you do. You're driving manual? Gale drives, if I get into this server, I vow on building the wall to keep Father Heaven out. Why do we build the wall, my children? My children. The wall keeps out Father Evan. Gale drives standard. He is the giant that peers over the wall. This savanna biome goes on for a while. I was kind of hoping there might be a desert on the other side. Or calcite for him. Oh, my precious calcite. Well, we found another village. I need some food. Everything's fine. Why is this area all lit up? When did I come in and light this? Oh, good, there's a creeper. Everything's fine. Okay, monsters, please don't see me. It's okay. Leave me alone. I need to figure out food. My automatic fish farm's a good source of it, but I've used up all of it. Maybe I'll have some cow, just as a treat. I think I'm going to pray harder for the people on the street. Salmon's a good source of protein. Oh, you're going to do great, Clutch. If they're on the street, they made their choice. A little dark, but okay. Yeah, free range cow. You're not part of the herd. You must be cold. Why didn't you drop anything? You didn't even drop leather. Oh, never mind. It did drop up some beef. I no longer have beef with this cow. I now have beef from this cow. I so need to reorganize. I have double ups on flints. Okay, we have a stack and a half of iron. That's pretty good. I should take some iron over to the build site just because I would like to be able to make more pickaxes while I'm over there. Is my MC... no, my Minecraft name is really old, just EBC391. It's I tend to use McCavity actually as my internet handle these days. So if you ever see a McCavity Pi or McCavity314 online, that might be me. Because I've had this Minecraft account since I was a freshman in college. McCavity, MACAVAITY. It's from Possum's Book of Cats, which is a book of poems by T.S. Eliot. And in that, I really like the poem about McCavity. And I like the language, like he's the Napoleon of crime. Like it's a cool name. He's got some cool monikers in the poem. So that's why I went with it. That, and it's a reference to an album I really like. And then Cats has to exist as a movie. Like I already knew it existed as a musical, and it's like whatever. But that's the same book of poetry that the musical is based off of, and let's just say the stage play and the movie especially do some odd things with the names and the poems of the cats. Yeah, my MTG name is McCavity. Which you probably saw when I was playing Blake the other week. Or last week. I feel bad about that, but at the same time, I asked him, it's like, do you mind if I bring a combo deck? And he's like, nah, that's good. It's like, okay. Saint Pantaleon. It's a good name. You brought up Pantaleon. Maybe it was that same stream, and I looked it up. It's a good saint, one of the 14 helpers. There, now we have some iron over here to make some spare pickaxes and things. Let's just spend the last bit of our time just doing making some trees. Coming back to Magic TBH, been doing Color Quest thingy. Nice. I love Magic the Gathering so much. Super fun game. I love to actually like help with events, so I'm actually a registered judge. I know the rules of Magic far better than I actually know how to play Magic well. And I play Magic decently, but... Bree, curious, how does buying video games and streaming work with religious vow of poverty? What personal effects are included in that? For example, if you owned a guitar and used it for ministry, what happened to the guitar once you take vows? Great question. So actually within my community, we take one promise to live according to the Constitution. We're technically what's known as a Society of Apostolic Life, so it's a little bit looser for us. So when we're given a gift, for example, we're allowed to keep it. Our vow, we tend to prefer the language for ourselves, gospel simplicity, not poverty, because we know we have a roof over our heads and 3 square meals a day. So we're not really living true American poverty. So just kind of like enabling us to engage in people in dialogue and serve. It's that language serves us better and serves our goal better. And so, you know, I'm allowed to own things. I get an allowance each month. But if I do something for Apostolic Works, that money goes into the house or the ministry that I'm working at. So, for example, all the money from bits and subs and whatnot go directly back into Busted Halo. I never get to see it personally or keep it, which is totally fine, and I love doing it that way, actually. But, you know, in turn, by turning over what I make to the house takes care of me. So, you know, and there are some groups who take, because of their spiritual commitments and whatnot, and spirituality, poverty may mean something different, where, you know, they're not allowed to keep anything, and that's, you know, within their prerogative and their spirituality. But I know for myself, that's not quite the level of poverty to which I feel called, and am thankful that within the polis I still have the ability to, you know, have some money to go see a movie or play Magic or so yeah, it can vary. That's a great question though, Bree. Yeah, Franciscans tend to be much stricter, especially certain kinds of Franciscans. So like the Friars of the Renewal tend to be stricter. Plasma sub-based. You know, I'm not going to get rich off this life, I'll tell you that much. You know, my allowance is not huge. It's enough that it's like I can, you know, have a life outside of ministry and do things, you know, go to a nice restaurant every now and then. But, you know, I also sacrifice certain luxuries and freedoms. So I'm actually fairly dependent upon the community to take care of my needs, and so that's a kind of poverty in and of itself. So there's different ways of living out poverty, basically, is what I'm saying. And the way I live, it's very spiritually enriching. It's challenging sometimes, but, you know. Like, I know of one community of Franciscans. I don't know if they're still active. They were a pretty small group at the time. But they were so strict about what poverty meant for them that they wouldn't even touch money. So poverty may mean extreme simplicity. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, if you look at, like, the history of what poverty is in the life of the church and what it means. What about denotions? It says, canonically, priests are allowed the stipend that goes along with the mass intention, but because that's considered apostolic work, that goes directly to the house. So yeah, so typically, if you have multiple on a Sunday, it might vary. Some might go to the parish, some might go to the priest, but for us, we don't see any of it. It just goes directly to the house or to the parish. And, you know, like, let's say I do a baptism, like, someone gives us a check. It's like, that's for the church. They may say, you know, oh, Father, thank you for doing this particularly. Here's a gift for you, and give me something small. But, you know, but again, I'm certainly not going to be getting rich off of this life, and that's perfectly okay. I never signed up for this life to become rich in monetary ways. But I do have an allowance, and I get to, you know, buy magic cards and play in events and things and take vacations. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this Baldacchino turned out for today, and I feel like we finished this for the most part. I want to put some carpet up here, but almost fell into the Confessio again. So next time, I'm probably going to keep playing this in my free time because I love Minecraft. Got to get a gate up there. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I need to figure out how I want to do that. But we now have our smooth sandstone. So this is what I'm thinking of for the walls. This along with the... like, I'm thinking this is the palette. These two kind of beiges. Kind of reminiscent of, like, Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. You know, that, like, big sandstone look. I'm not going to put in, like, the spires like Sagrada Familia, but I think having two kind of makes it interesting. So I'm thinking this for, like, some more detailing, this more for the base of the wall. But anyway, I'm going to keep working on this. I'm going to keep gathering resources, but any of the building, I'm going to wait until we're on stream to do that. For now, I might say, hey, look, I've laid the first bit of the wall. Let me build up the rest of the wall off stream or something, because it's not the most interesting. So we'll see. But for now, that's what we're going to do. But with that, that is a perfect time to call it for the day. So thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. Step Zero, are you there? Are you still there, Step Zero? Thanks so much, Punchkill. Glad to have you here today. Yep, just finishing up. You are most welcome. Looks like Step Zero's not here. I'll send Step Zero a picture of the candy off stream, Kit. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you to everyone liking, subscribing, following, all that good jazz. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll be back on Thursday looking at a game called Synaxarion, Acts Chapter 1. I'm really excited about that one. It's an Orthodox video game about the crucifixion and the following sort of unfolding from that with the apostles. So it should be interesting. And then Monday I'll be back with more Kingdom Hearts. I might actually even do 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Always, unless you say otherwise, always 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I might actually do a bonus stream tomorrow. My schedule's kind of open, so we'll see. No promises, but I might just randomly go live with some more Kingdom Hearts or something. So we'll find out. But it should be fun. But yeah, thank you to everyone. Yeah, I want to make up. Yeah, I did. I beat Marluxia. I didn't beat the first phase on first try. That took like 2 or 3. But the second and third phase, I beat first try on Marluxia, so. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Now we're starting Reverse Rebirth. But yeah, so thanks so much everyone who's liked, followed, subscribed, all that good jazz. Thank you for joining the Discord, and let's see if anyone's up to raid. None of my friends are live right now. That's okay. They're all here in chat. Anyway, I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Hey, Britt, good to see you. But yeah, hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Take care, and God bless.